On today's Fixing Bugs and Stuff, we're going to start looking at a 60s pan. Okay, we're looking at a 1960 VW Bug pan that I purchased, and it was just the pan. It was the center section and the left and right floor pan. That's all I got. The suspension was not included, so that's what I worked on. It had many layers of paint, and my feeling is if you have a lot of paint on something or anything, you're hiding something. And they were hiding a lot of things as I was started to dig into it. So finally I got fed up and I started to thinking about getting sandblasted, and that's what I did. And when I got it sandblasted, then it revealed a couple things. First, it revealed that there was some holes in the frame head. As you can see here, there's holes in the frame head, and after looking at that, it was really troubling. That's a result from not putting the gasket into this inspection panel here. Water will seep through there as you drive in the rain, as you wash the car, believe it or not, it will just go right in without the gasket. So always put the gasket in, or else you're gonna have problems later on. So that was my first big discovery of this pan. Then the next discovery of this pan, believe it or not, they replaced this driver's side pan. And what they did was they ended up putting in sheet metal screws all the way around this pan and never welding it. And then they decided to put some kind of sealant on it. Well, that sealant was some tough stuff. It was hard to get off, but I took it all off and welded it in correctly. So that pan is in there pretty good, the way it should be. It's another gremlin that reared its ugly head. So my suggestion is always, if you get these types of chassis for any car, spend the money, get it sandblasted. You'll be happy that you did, because you're going to find things that people have done previously that it's not good. So that's one of the major things I recommend for you to do. The other thing is to chase the threads on your pan or your chassis. Always want to chase. What I mean by chasing the threads, you want to clear the threads out. You want to clean them up. You want to make sure that you're able to put a bolt inside of them. And then the best way to do it is buy a tap and die kit. I got one on Amazon. I think I paid maybe $30, and I will show it to you here. And also I will link it into the description. And let me go over what I actually chased in here. The suspension wasn't there, but I chased the threads that go into this inspection plate. Then I chased the threads that were in the pedal assembly. You can see there. And I know you see like orange little markings on them. That's just torque striping, meaning that I torqued the bolts down to the specifications, and then once I did that, I marked them so that way I know I torqued them down. I also chased the threads in the shifter. I've broken these before in the shifter, and you end up either trying to re-thread it with a bigger or larger tap, or you just have to replace that whole piece there, which is not fun at all. After I did that, I also chased the threads here in the pan. You have 4 of these. You got 1, 2, and 3, 4. This is where your body gets bolted to. This is one of the areas that your body gets bolted to. Another area is these two here. These two are major areas to take a larger bolt. I chase these threads here. And for the peace of mind, I chase the threads in the transmission bracket. not in the bracket, but the actual, there's like these two in this tunnel here. You can see this tunnel. I chase the threads here. I just want to be sure. I've seen people cross thread these. For some reason, when they drop the transmission out, I've seen them cross thread them, and that is a nightmare. So I wanted to double check that after I sandblasted it. I guess I could have checked it before I sandblasted it instead of spending all the money, but I wanted to see all the gremlins first. So that's the beginning of the tale of me working on this chassis here. So hopefully you guys can see that. And then the next thing we'll talk about is equipment, or we can talk about painting. We can talk about painting of the pan. Next, we're going to talk about painting of the pan. A friend of mine suggested that I paint the pan using this certain product. This certain product requires the metal to be etched, meaning that you have to put on a spray and then wash it off, and the metal dries and etches the metal itself so you can add paint to it. I did that. I did it 2 or 3 times. Then I added this certain product to this chassis, and come to find out that it really doesn't stick to the chassis like it should. So I'm not gonna even mention the paint or the etching process. It's not worth getting into. It's not worth talking about, but I will mention what I did to the tunnel. Because I saw rust in the tunnel itself. Ended up buying a paint that Eastwood sells for chassis, like internal to the chassis, like tubing in the chassis. And it's kind of pretty cool. What they do is they give you this paint. It's like a green. I'm not sure you can get a green or a black. I don't remember, but I'll show it here, and I'll link it to the description. It was good stuff. But this is the cap. Actually, this is the whole thing. They give you paint, and they give you this hose that comes with it, and you stick this on top of the paint can, and then you have this nozzle comes out and it sprays. I think it's like 260 or 270 degrees it sprays. It's kind of hard to focus in, which is pretty cool. So what I did was I took off the inspection panel. I put this hose in as far as I could, sprayed it, and then pulled it back out as I sprayed. That's all it takes, is just one coating. You don't have to do several coatings. It does a pretty good job. And then I did the same thing to this Napoleon head, because I had the feeling that, some of the rust got in there too, but I stuck a camera in there and I didn't see any. So I stuck it through this little hole here, all the way through to the top, and then I sprayed and pulled all the way back. Then I went in from the top here of the shifter, stuck the hose that way, and then sprayed and pulled it back out. Did the same thing here, stuck this in, sprayed, pulled it back out. And then I went over here, pushed this forward, sprayed it, pulled it back out. And then the transmission wasn't here, and then I did the same thing again. And I think that's why you see this green dot here. If you can see it or not. What happened to the green dot there? The green dot, that's what it looks like on the inside. Stuff's pretty good stuff. And I believe I sprayed inside these tunnels too. I had enough paint left over just to go in there and just spray it all the way through. So that's what I did. It's up to you what you want to do. It was just for a peace of mind. The rest of the inside of the tunnel didn't look bad at all. So that's what I did, but I'll leave the link in the description about what paint that I use. It was from Eastwood, I know that. Okay, so that was it for the paint. Nothing else special to talk about. Next video, we'll talk about the suspension, on what I picked, why I picked it. There's so many options out there that you can do. You don't have to spend a lot of money on it. So we'll go through that on the next video. Please stay tuned and subscribe and like. Thank you for watching.